Hi, it's Dory here for Gamereactor. We're at E3 talking about Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the next big game in that series. And I'm here with Francois, who's going to tell us all about it. Now, first of all, what are you showing new here at E3?
One thing, the big thing that we have this week is that you can play the game. You can play on PS4. It's on console. It's City of London district or borough, where the player can decide whatever he wants to do, pretty much.
Now, the demo that I played, you're freeing a borough, and then there's a huge like showdown at the end with the leader of that borough. Tell us a little bit about how that whole thing works.
So literally, the demo starts in a pub. You know, very kind of visually about London of that period, and Jacob gets to free roam in that area, or in that borough, like you said, City of London borough, and he's going to have to free up a stronghold. So basically, in London of 1868, there were slums everywhere, and this is pretty much where the enemy gang, the Blighters that we call them, were living. And Jacob, in that demo that you played, needs to free up that slum or that stronghold, and he needs to put his gang, the Rooks, inside that stronghold. And so by doing that, he's going to increase the influence in the borough of City of London to ultimately reach the Templar, who's in control of that borough.
Okay. And then there's a big showdown at the end. How many boroughs are there, and like different bosses?
Yeah, there's 7 total boroughs in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So you're thinking you're going all the way from Westminster, where the Parliament is, Big Ben, Buckingham, for example, that we all know, all the way to Whitechapel, that's super poor, and way down to Lambeth, where in Southwark, where it's really factories, working class. So it's a huge map, it's a huge environment, it's a huge city that we wanted to create for the player to explore.
Yeah, and talk about that exploring. You're adding some really nice, cool traversal mechanics into the game. You have the zip line and the grappling hook. Tell us a little bit about like how it is to bring that into the game, and well, I mean, with all the huge buildings, how it is to balance that.
Yeah, one thing that we, when we started to think of London of 1868, the Industrial Revolution, and you know, the taller buildings and the wider streets, we said, look, let's have a tool that's fast, that gives a lot of freedom and creativity to the player, that he can use everywhere, not just on very specific hooks, but everywhere, on every top of buildings. And we came up with the prototype very quickly by an amazing programmer in Quebec, and really quickly in playtest, people loved it. People loved the fluidity, how fast it can bring the player up and on across the street. So it's really a tool for the player to use to create his own. I'm sure that when you played the Stronghold, I'm sure that the way you played it with the rope launcher is very different from any other one that played it, because there's a lot of possibilities.
Okay, absolutely. Now, I played here as Jacob, of course, and we've heard a lot about him, but he's not the only character, of course. There's also his twin sister, Evie. Can you tell us a little bit about her character and the difference in the playstyles between the two, if any?
Yeah, to talk about Evie, we need to talk as well of the twins. So they're born and raised assassins, so they get to London the same time that the player will get to explore London. And their objective is going to free up London from the Templars. So every borough is controlled by Templar, and they need to access with their gangs to that target. Evie is going to be so the player first is going to be able to play the entirety of the open world, either within Jacob or within Evie. So that's for him to choose. Within the main sequence or the main storyline, he will get to we'll drive him towards Evie or Jacob, depending on how we want to tell the story. So each of them have their shared skill tree. But it's true on both sides. We have, for Jacob, for example, we have very specific combat skills, and for Evie, very specific stealth skills.
And they share the same weapon set, or
they share the same weapon sets. We'll unveil more in the next few months what's going to be exactly. But for now, what we talked about is the brass knuckle. We talked about the keen sword this week. So it's very brutal and very fast-paced fight.
Okay, and well, I guess wrapping up then, when will players be able to play it, and kind of where are you at in development right now?
Yeah, so very happy to say that the reason why you're able to play this demo, it's on console, like I was saying before, is that we learned so much. We've over the past few months, we already started to do playtests of the entirety of the game. We're listening to players. We have a playtest session here in Los Angeles this week. We have a tour where the players can play this demo as well all across Europe and Australia this week as well. So we really want to listen to players and to really listen to their feedback. And so this is where we are. So what it means, to answer your question fairly, we're in polish. We're literally in polish, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate will release on October 23rd on Xbox One and PS4.
Great. Now, one question that I almost forgot. You're kind of pulling back on, there's no multiplayer or a companion app or something like. Can you touch a little bit upon the decision to go full-on single-player immersive story?
Yeah, one thing that we do as a company and as a studio is that I like to say that it's a learning machine. So we make a lot of good things. We make sometimes mistakes, and this year we decided to really focus on the investment that we've done over the past few years. So when we think of navigation, stealth, fight, we wanted to polish those experiences and make it sure that it's, like I said, it's the core of Assassin's Creed. It's what players like. It's what player feel comfortable doing, and so that's what we wanted to do. Focus on the core, make it awesome, and create a great game.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fry, listen. We can split the money. I mean, just take it all. Rooks with me.
I'm going with a rook. Come on.
Or soon enough.
Bye.